Oh. What's going on, guys? So I just wanted to share my point of view on life and how energy works and how life works in ways, right? Over the past few months, I have been working on the BM on my mum's drive. Now, as you see, the BM is not on my mum's drive anymore. It's in a sheltered garage. Now, on that movie, Pain and Gain, Mark Wahlberg talks about Johnny Woo, and he says, if you believe you deserve it, the universe will serve it. Now, when I did the video the other day about when I was feeling emotional, was I feeling emotional? I don't even know, because as soon as I did that video, once it was out there and it was off my chest, I was like, I feel better now, you know? Now, the purpose of the video, I don't quite know really. I wanted to get my point across, but I also want to share with you the ups and the downs. There's so much that goes on in my life where I know that if you were to see it, you would see how much I enjoy it, whether it's good or bad. And even when life feels like it's at its worst, you still don't ever know what's round the corner, and this is the proof of that. Life might have seemed a bit shitty the other day, but even then, that was a one-off day. It's like I said, it's been so long since I've cried, where as soon as it was off my chest, later on that day I was fine. The day after I was back to my normal self. It was just that day, and I also understood that that day was a day of release. You know, I've been looking into energies. I look into the energy of the day. Certain numbers mean certain things and certain energies. You know, 11 or 3 energy day, 9 energy days, whatever the day it might be. Whatever the date is today, you add both those numbers together, you get a certain number, whatever it might be, right? But once that was off my chest, I was like, I feel so much better now, because I feel like I've released all of everything that I had on that day. And then the next day after that, I got confirmation for this garage. The day after. Bearing in mind, in numerology, the numbers only go up to 9, and then it goes back to a 1, because if you were to go from a 9 to a 10, you'll add the 1 and the 0, which will be back to a 1. But you don't have a 2, you'll have an 11, you know, so you'll do 1, 11, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then back to 1 again. So 9, the day that I did that video was a 9 energy. It was release, it was let go. The day after that was new beginnings. The new beginning, I got the phone call saying, it's a garage available. Now, another thing that I wanted to say about the video was being alone. Being alone is very hard. And the reason why I am alone, in a way, right? Because I'm always around people, and I always have been around people, but I've only ever been me. You know, nobody ever came to me. It was always me going elsewhere. Now, I did have quite a few messages from people from that video. I had phone calls, I had video messages and what have you. And I was talking to a lass about it, and I said to her, I was like, you know, one thing I've realised about me being alone, people thinking that I'm alone. And she goes, what? And I goes, I couldn't change, and I had no control of my dad leaving my life. Now, he didn't walk out, he ended it. Done. Never to be seen again, gone. Now, I'm 28 now. That happened 24 years ago, 9 days after my 4th birthday, right? Now, I grew up with no direction. I had a stepdad, I had my mum, but my mum had no control of me, and my stepdad, I didn't really, you know, there was times that I listened to him, but there was a lot of times that I didn't. So I've grown up in a position where nobody could tell me what was right, what was wrong, because I did it. If it wasn't, the only person that would have potentially had some control over me was the person that left me, you know, due to his own mental circumstances and stuff. And this is why mental health is a really big thing for me, because I've personally dealt with my own mental health, but also as well, I was affected by somebody else's mental health. And a lot of women these days are very spiteful, because look at how many women talk about how bad their baby daddy is, and then don't let their child see their burn, right? But you now also need to see, from my point of view, that I am 20 years ahead of your kid in a world that I don't even like right now, right? But say, for example, if what goes on here is 20 years ahead of your kid, and I didn't have no guidance from a man, what are you preparing your kid for? Because every boy needs a man to guide him. And if you don't have that, then this is why there's a lot of things where I've made so many mistakes in life, where I kept making the same mistake until I learned that lesson, you know? And eventually, once I learned that lesson, that was when I became isolated. You know, I moved into that house, but also as well, let's go from there. The house I moved into was a number 7. 7 is a loner energy. So even though I didn't know for the 4 years that I was in that house, 7 was a loner energy. So that the number of the house that was registered was a number 7. And I spent so many years in that house by myself, with just me and Elby, until Fly came along. Yes, there was the odd couple of people that came back and forth, whatever, but nothing like, there was no family, there was no friends, just, all right mate, I just thought I'd have a pop in, you know, none of that. So, and then obviously moving into the van, it's a different thing, because I know that I know how to be alone. And I'm working on getting out there. But just because you might feel alone, if you're trying to grow as a person, that doesn't mean that if you're trying to outgrow the environment or the group of friends that you are surrounded with, that you need to go back there just to fill that space. I would rather be alone than be surrounded by bad energy and negative people. So yeah, but when you've done it for so many years, like, I mean, I'm saying I've been alone for so long. In a way, I have. And I started realising this probably when I was like 13, that I don't really have anybody. I don't really have friends. I only had friends because of the environment I was in, not because of being friends. I do have friends, like 2 or 3, but I don't see them, you know? So when you start understanding this and you start becoming, like, I self-analyze a lot, you know? I spoke to a friend about this yesterday or the day before, and when you're alone, when you don't have your phone, you don't have your laptop, you're not using anything as a distraction, you just sit there in your head. I can sit there for hours, not pick anything up, not look at anything. There is the odd couple of times when you kind of reach for your phone, but then I'll stop myself or what have you. But that's where you start growing as a person. And I might be rambling here a little bit, but I'm just letting you see what is in my head. And this is the purpose of this video, because I want you to see how I think. I want you to see how you can manipulate energy in ways that doesn't have to be with the way that society tells you that it has to go. You know, it's like I had people messaging me after that video about jobs. Oh, you can go and get a job here. And I thought about it, and I was like, but if the job doesn't align with what I want to do, I don't want to do it. And it might seem bad, but I think there's a lot of people, I think pretty much the fucking world is going to see in the next 5 to 10 years, the life I live now, I'm ahead of the curve. Because with me not working and not wanting to work, because I know that there's other ways of making money, there's going to be a lot of people that are in the position that I'm in now but don't know what to do because I chose to get out of that. A lot of people are going to get pushed out of that, you know, and it might benefit you, it might not, I don't know. But yeah, energy. It's great when you figure out how things work and what have you, and why things work and so on. So over the next however many months it's going to take, I'm now in a position where I can be in here, you know, do some work out there, come back and do some work in here, you know. I did give it a little sweep up in here, but I do need to sweep over there and pull some things. I want to arrange some things, but life is moving in a good direction. And even if life seems like it's hard, or it seems like it's bad, or it's not going the way that you want, you never know what's around that corner, because your life could be falling apart, but is it falling apart or is it falling into place? You know, for a snake to go on through life, it has to shed its skin for it to continue. It can't hold on to the same skin. And that's what you've got to do. If you're going to become somebody in life, you've got to shed the skin of the past you. You've got to shed the skin of the people that you knew. You've got to shed the skin of the food that you consume, the music you consume, the water you consume. All of this stuff changes you when you understand that there's an attack going on for this. You know, the food that you eat is poison. The water that you drink is poison. The environment, you know, what's in the sky, it's poison. The stuff that you listen to, the radio, poison. Same with TV and movies and all of this stuff that's going on. So you become aware, when you start seeing, you are in your own Truman Show, right? And when Truman, if you've never seen the Truman Show, you need to watch it, with Jim Carrey. But if you wake up one day and just for a split second you see something that is structured in your life that is designed to keep you where you are, that's when it hurts. You know, I've had emotional breakdowns in that house many a times, because there's this saying of, when somebody becomes awake and aware of the world, you can't fit in anywhere. Because how are you supposed to fit into a world that is designed to control you, when you now see the control and the chains and the rope and all of that stuff that's designed to keep you there? Once you wake up and see that, then you can't fit back into the environment which you were in. That massively happened when I became a doorman. When I became a doorman and I started working the nightclubs, and I was sober and I was watching everybody else drunk and taking drugs, I just thought, like, it was kind of like a light bulb. There's been light bulbs before then, but that was another light bulb, of where I just went, I see it. I see what's going on here. Like, there's so much that can change, but the thing is you think that the government is going to change that, and it ain't. Because it doesn't matter if Reform gets in, Labour gets in, the Tories get in, whatever. Because the person that's in control is still in control of them. GB News, people talk about, and I know that I'm going off on things, but I'm just thinking, I want to explain what's going on in my head. GB News, you think GB News is on your side, but it's not. GB News, ITV, BBC, Channel 4, whatever it might be, all of these are all still controlled by the same person. It's just you think GB News is on your side because they're telling you the things that you have been realising, but all they've done is said, right, well, I'll tell you what, we're still going to continue to control them in that way, but we're also going to make it look like we're on their side. You know, energy's crazy. There's so much going on in the world. There's so many things, from numerology, astrology. I'm not sure about religion. I like the idea of the path of religion, but I still kind of feel like you're a fish in a fishbowl in the ocean. You know? Yes, there's water around you, and yes, there's water beyond, but you're still limited in this area because you can't leave the fishbowl. Spirituality, I feel like, is more of a thing because God is within you. God isn't out there. God is within you. The energy is within you. So when you can understand 1, 2, 3, 4, then things work out, you know. So yeah. But this is where I want to focus more of my time on YouTube. I want to focus more of my time showing you what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. There might be things for the car. There might be other things that I'm doing. I might be out walking the dogs. Whatever I am doing, I want to show you what I'm doing, because what I do for life is actually really fun. I'm in survival mode, but survival mode for a lot of people is struggle. Survival for me is I haven't got anything, so I can't lose anything. You know, even if this was taken away from me and the van was taken away from me and I was left with just the clothes on my back and them 2 dogs, I would still figure out a way of going, do you know what, I'm going to make some fun out of this. I'm going to go get a tent. Oh, I can't afford a tent. Right, now what? Right, well, let's go make a tree house or, you know, something. Whatever it might be. So, yeah. Life can be whatever you want it to be. It's just there's a structure around you that tries to control you to make you think that there isn't. And the only way to survive is within the system. But as soon as you leave the system, you realise that it's kind of fake walls that were put in here. I remember it was kind of like leaving a cage when I moved out of that house. I remember the morning. It was I think it was the 14th of July, 2025. It was raining. Everything, like, the house had already been emptied. I was already living in the van on the drive for a week or 2 before I'd even moved out of the house. I drove straight to the place. I handed my key over. They gave me a receipt. I sat in the van and I looked at the girls and I said, now what do we do? And I drove to my mum's to go pick some stuff up, and then I drove to the Yorkshire Dales. Didn't even know where I was going. I knew I was going that way. I was looking toward Catterick, because out on the training area in Catterick it was massive, and I knew that was somewhere where I wanted to be. And then I didn't end up there. I went into Richmond, and then I went further out there, and I went into the middle of nowhere. And I ended up in a field, and it was the place where I took that first photo. I didn't even have a direction of where I was going. I didn't use Google Maps, nothing. I just drove and I drove and I drove until I got there. Or until I got somewhere, you know. You can have as much freedom as you want. It's just so many people think, oh, well, I can't do this because I'll lose my job. What's the worst that's going to come from losing your job? Like, you don't have any support. All right? Then what? Then you figure out who you are. A lot of people don't like the idea of that because they don't like who they are. You can't sit quietly in your head for hours, even for minutes, without picking up something to distract you, because are you in control of your mind, or is somebody else in control of your mind? So, yeah. Life can be so much fun. There's so much fun that can come from taking risks. The more you fuck around, the more you find out. The less you fuck around, the less you find out. The bigger the risk, the bigger the reward, in some cases. The smaller the risk, the smaller the reward, you know. And now look at me. All because I'm in a position where I don't like being in the same place all the time. I cannot do it. I can't be in one place too long. The longest job I was in the army. And that was only because I couldn't get out that contract until this time. And I managed to find a doorway out, and I took it. I got out early. You know, first job I went into after that, I was there for 6 months. Next job after that, 6 months. So on and so forth. I just can't stay in one place. So, yeah, I want to show you that. I want to show you the enjoyment of it. Of not knowing where you're going and not knowing what's around the corner, but looking forward to whatever it is. It could be good, it could be bad. It might be great, it might be terrible. Whatever it might be, I'll find some fun in it, you know? So thank you for watching. Make sure you hit the like, make sure you hit the subscribe, see some more stuff that I'm going to do, because I'm looking to have some fun.